Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're back. We're going to do another Hack the Box walkthrough. This time we're doing another retired machine called Bashed. It is Linux and it is rated as easy. I thought the user flag was very easy. The root flag was a little trickier. You got to mess around with some Python. So good learning experience. Regardless, without further ado, you can see I am connected to Hack the Box's VPN, and you can see I have Bashed spun up. Here's its IP address. As always, the first thing we do is we run an mmap scan. Now, I didn't do it on all ports because Hack the Box has been a bit slow for me lately, but I did do service version detection T for aggressive, and the only thing that came back was 80, so HTTP. So if we drop over to the IP address on 80, we can see it's this PHP bash website. Now, I poked around. There's not a whole lot. So what I decided to do was to run GoBuster, and that's exactly what I did. And I've run it so you don't have to sit here and watch, but you can see there's a bunch of directories that popped up, and CSS obviously is nothing interesting. Went to dev, and that's where it got interesting. So the second one down, go to dev. It takes you to a directory listable directory, and if you click on PHP bash, it takes you to a web shell. So if I do ls, you can see we're www data on bashed. So very easy to get that initial foothold. But what I would recommend is that you do some kind of more stable shell. So if you go to, and I will drop a link in the description below for this website, but swiskyrepo.github.io, they have the reverse shell cheat sheet. I used the first one right here. I'll make sure that's linked for you guys. But I use this first one a lot. I actually have messed around with a bunch of these, but this top one usually works for me. Okay. All you have to change in it is the IP address and the port. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to start a listener. So I'm going to do netcat nlvp on 1234. And we're going to come back to our web shell. I'm going to copy this command that I put together from that Swisky repo, and I'm going to paste it in there, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, if we go back to our listener, hopefully we have a shell, and we do. So we can do bin bash I, and we are www data. Now, first thing I'd usually do is history. There was nothing. Second thing I always do, and you should have a process that you go through every time you get on a Linux machine, it's sudo-l. And something very interesting comes up. It says www data may run the following commands on bashed. Basically, anything that's owned by script manager as script manager, we can run as script manager with no password. So essentially, we could do something like sudo user script manager and then run a command. Okay. So before we do that, I mean, obviously you want to go to the home directory, and then you want to do an ls, and then there's this rexl. So we want to go cd rexl, and then we want to do an ls, and then there's the user.txt. So we're going to cat user.txt, and there you have your user flag. So we're 50% of the way there. Okay. Next, I looked back. Oops, not LSD. We want ls, and I went into script manager, then ls, and there's nothing, right? So then I went back to the root directory. We did an ls, and if we do an ls-ail, this should light up right here, this scripts directory, because remember, we saw that we could do that sudo with no password as script manager. So what I think we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to do a command sudo user. We're going to do script manager. So we're going to run this command as script manager. Remember, we don't need the password because it's in the sudoers file. Okay, there's no password for this. And then we're going to just run bin bash. And it should Yep, there we go. So we're script manager now. So we can do an ls, and lsail is better. And we can see we're in the scripts directory now. So we can go cd scripts. We can do an ls, and actually an lsail would be better. And it's very interesting because there's this test.py. So it's a Python script. And there is a text file that is owned by root. I wonder if we can cat that. I didn't try that. So cat test.txt. Yes, it's just says testing 1, 2, 3 exclamation point. And then we're going to cat test.py. Okay, so it's basically opening this file that is owned by root and then writing testing 1, 2, 3 exclamation point to it and then closing it. So what we can do is we can add a command to start another reverse shell to this file and run it. And I think, well, here's the deal. What I did some exploration on this thing, and I tried to rename test.txt, and it just reappears. So there's some kind of I don't know if it's a cron job running or whatever, but I can't see. Let's see if we can do cron tab. There's no cron tab for script manager, so cron tab user root must be privileged to use that. So let's see if we can. I think I might have screwed that up. Let's do cron tab and now. I'm not sure, but I actually thought about running WinPs on here or enum for Linux, and not enum for Linux. There's the other script that's a little simpler than I can't remember the name of it, but I did run linps and I didn't see a cron job running, but there's something happening because that file keeps reappearing. So I took a chance and basically piped another Python, because if you look at it, right, if you look at cat test.py, there's not even a shebang, bin Python in there. So it's almost like it's being called, the script's being called using the Python command. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to just pipe a script, pipe another Python shell into the file and see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify that original export that we used to get the legitimate shell, and I'm going to show it to you, and it's basically going to echo that Python statement into this test.py, okay? And then when it executes, hopefully it'll give us a shell, all right? So that's what we're going to do. So first and foremost, we're going to start a listener. I'm going to do a netcat nlvp, and let's do it on 4444. Now let's do it on all 9 because I think I have the script written for 9s. So we're listening on 9s. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to copy this, basically this command that I put in here. So we're going to do copy, paste. So this is basically echoing a Python statement, but we have to echo it somewhere. So we don't want to overwrite the test.txt because we want it to open that file. We want it to run as root, open that file, do its whole thing, right? So we want to do a double redirection symbol, which basically appends. It doesn't overwrite. Maybe you could overwrite. I didn't try overwriting. I just figured let it write, let it execute as it normally is, and let's just add this line so that when it's done executing that, closes the file, it starts the reverse shell. So let's see how that works. So I believe this is in scripts, and it's test.py. And let's cross our fingers and that it gets piped in there. All right. So now we'll do cat test.py. And you can see it it appended that um, Python statement at the end of the script that runs. Okay, so now we're going to come back to our, oh wow, we already got a root shell. Last time I did this, I think it took a few minutes. So you can see it runs pretty, it ran, I must have caught it like right when the cron job was going to run. So now we have a root shell. So we can do cd root, and then we can do ls, and then we can do cat root.txt, and there's the flag. So ultimately, the longest part of this whole thing was figuring this part out. I had the user shell and was script manager pretty quick. But what I needed to figure out was how to get this to work. And I originally was trying to think of maybe netcat or, bash or whatever. But ultimately I settled on Python, because, it should just run natively in the Python script. So, and then you have to make sure that you pipe it correctly. You don't. I didn't overwrite. You may be able to overwrite it, but I did not. I just appended. I may experiment with that at another time, but I've always found just add it to the end of the file. You don't need to overwrite the file. So that's it. Basically, we ran an mmap scan. We found port 80 open. We went, did a little go busting, found a dev directory. It had a PHP web shell in there that we were able to connect to. We started a listener. We ran a Python command to get a reverse shell. We figured out that the dub data could run commands as script manager without using a password. So we switched over to script manager by doing sudo tacu script manager bin bash. Then we found the scripts directory. We modified the test.py to include a call to create a Python reverse shell, started another listener, waited for the script or cron job to run. It ran, and we have a root shell. So hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully it was helpful. I will leave links to everything that I talked about in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, you think I did something stupid, feel free to drop a comment below, and we can have a chat about it. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.